Today's readings are all about death and glory. So often we find Christ referring to his own crucifixion as both death and glory. So the one question that kept coming to me is, how can Jesus refer to something as evil as death as glorious? And what came to me was a story I heard a while ago about a young man who, at the age of about 17, was diagnosed with a terminal illness. Found out he only had months to live. And as soon as he found that out, he became so angry and bitter against God, against the world, against his family. He just closed himself off, didn't want anything to do with anybody. He was so angry about his life being taken away from him. But then one day, he walked by a church and something compelled him to go inside. He said for the entire day, he just stood in the back, gazing at the crucifix. He couldn't stop looking at Jesus on the cross. He said a great transformation came over him at that moment. And he found himself, little by little, offering his life back to God. Because a great realization came to him. He came to see, as he gazed upon Christ on the cross, that his life and everything he possessed was in fact a gift from God. And that realization that it was a gift empowered him to give it back to God again. And the moment he said that, all of his anger, all of his bitterness, all of his resentment went away. Suddenly, his whole vision was that of glory. And he was filled with the deepest love and gratitude for his life, for his family, and for God. Because he made of his own death a gift. I believe that was the vision of Christ. That was the vision of Christ that he lived in his entire life. That everything he was and everything that he possessed was a gift from his Father. His being from all eternity was a gift from his Father. His being in time was a gift from his Father. Everything he was, everything he possessed was from his Father. And because he recognized that, he became free to give it back to his Father, even unto death, because everything was a gift. His death was never a passive taking away. It was an active offering, a willing sacrifice. That's why he could say, "No one takes my life from me. I lay it down of my own accord. I make of my life a gift, even unto death." That's the vision of glory. And there my death becomes glorious because it's a gift. That's the vision of glory that we're all being invited into. When we perceive nothing in our life as mine, but everything is a gift given from God, received, and offered back. It changes the way we see everything in our life. And that's what it means to be baptized. Lent is always about entering again once into the promises of our baptism. Through the death of Christ, in our baptism, we entered into his death, so that we could rise with a new vision of life. A vision where nothing in my life belongs to me anymore. Nothing is mine. Everything is gift from the Father. Therefore, everything I have in me, I give back to the Father. And that's why also in this time, we do exorcisms on those who are about to be baptized. Did you know that? You came to the Mass yesterday, or you come at 12:30, there'll be exorcism prayers over those who are about to be baptized. Because the most diabolical thing in this world is possessiveness. The devil can never make a gift of anything. He only knows how to take, to steal, and destroy. And that's what caused his fall. He received everything from God. He was the highest among the angels. Instead of giving it back to God, he glorified himself. He wanted to hold on to it. And that caused his downfall. And that's the influence, that's the temptation that we all face in life from the diabolical. But to change into the vision of Christ means to stop seeing my life as for me, but to see it with Christ as a gift that I can offer right back to God. And that means that I no longer suffer the cross in my life passively. I make it an active, willing sacrifice to God. So if I'm sick, I offer my sickness back to God as a gift. If I'm poor, I offer my poverty to God as a gift. If I have a broken heart, I offer my brokenness to God as a gift. And in that way, my whole vision of my life becomes filled with glory. Because everything's been given to me, and I give everything back. Similar to that young man who was so filled with resentment after finding out he had a terminal illness. To be honest with you, I too resented God so much when he called me to be a priest. Believe it or not, but sometimes receiving a vocation of the priesthood is kind of like a death sentence in a good way. Father Maxie probably knows what I'm talking about. It's true because I had so many plans all my life for what I wanted to do, what I wanted to be, and what I thought would make me happy in life. So when God called me at age 20, 21, to be a priest, all I could see was the death of everything I thought my life should be. And I resented him for that. How can you take that away from me? How can you take my life and my dreams away from me? But it was in contemplating the cross. Every time I'd come to church, looking at Jesus on the cross, giving himself completely for me, going to adore him in the Eucharist, seeing him giving himself completely to me as a gift. The more I looked at him, the more I realized, how can I hold anything back from him? Everything God is to me is a gift. I must become a gift back. And so I offered my life, that death of my plans. The moment I switched that into a gift and said, I give it back to you, my whole vision became glorious. I don't see death. When people say my life, you're making a sacrifice for the priesthood, I don't see that. I only see the glory of the priesthood. And never for 1 second in 10 years have I regretted that decision. But at first, I had to offer that death as a gift before I could see the glory of it. On the opposite side, just about 2 weeks ago, I ran into a woman at a restaurant. Very nice lady, but we started talking a little bit, and she said she hadn't talked to God in 20 years, ever since she lost her son to a drowning accident. And she said she was so filled with resentment against God for taking her son away, she could never talk to him anymore. And so I just asked her at one point, what have the last 20 years been like for you? And she was a very honest woman. That's what I appreciated so much about her. She just looked at me and she said, it's been selfish and empty. I thought that's so true. When we see the things that we love in this life as taken away from us, we become bitter. The world becomes empty and God becomes an enemy. But when we enter into the vision of Christ, when we see our life as a gift and everything that we possess as given to us, then we can enter into the cross in a new way where it's no longer things I love being taken away from me. It's rather being given back to God as a gift that He Himself gave me. Then we can say with Jesus Christ, no one takes it from me. I lay it down of my own accord. I make a gift of everything I've received in life because God Himself gave it to me and I give it back to Him. And then it becomes glorious. So I think something we can all ask ourselves today: is there anything in my life I resent God for taking away? Is there any bitterness in my heart? Or what is it in my life that I most fear to lose? A fear that causes bitterness or anger in my heart at the thought, at the prospect of having to give up. In this moment, in this Mass, can we find the strength to offer it back to God as a gift? To say with Christ, no one takes it from me. I lay it down. I offer what is most precious in my life back to God as a gift that He Himself gave me. That's the vision of glory. And that's the vision we receive every single time we come to Mass. Every single time we celebrate the Eucharist. Because how can I refuse to give myself and everything I possess to Jesus Christ when I see Him giving Himself completely to me, body, blood, soul, and divinity in the Holy Eucharist? That's the vision that illuminates our lives and fills us with the confidence to give everything back to Him, even unto death. That's the vision of glory.